I'm live. All right, fantastic. Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Nice to see you. Let me share my screen real quick. I've got some slides for y'all to go through today. Here we go. Okay, hopefully y'all can see. So today I'm going to be going through my Chem Excellence method. Before I jump in, I'm just going to give another minute or two for anybody else to join on. Hope y'all are enjoying your Tuesday. It's nice and beautiful outside here in Arizona. It's nice and sunny and hot. Okay, so I'll go ahead and jump in. So today, something I get really, really excited about sharing. This is probably, I say, the thing I'm the most passionate about every time I jump in to start talking about something. But for real, this is one of the things I get most excited about going over with students. So today I'm going to share with you guys something that I call the Chem Excellence method. It's something that we've spent a long time developing to help students really make sure that they excel in their U of A chemistry classes. So really, I'm going to dive into how you can get A's in your chemistry courses, specifically at University of Arizona. First, let's make sure you're in the right place. So this is going to be for anybody who is a student or a parent of a student. We love our parents. You guys are welcome as well. Taking chemistry at the University of Arizona. So Chem 151, 152, 241A, 241B, 130, those chemistry classes at U of A. Excuse me. If you want to earn an A in your class without having to get super stressed out and spend your semester completely overwhelmed, you're in the right spot. If you are prepared to make sure that you're giving yourself the best possible opportunity for success, you're in the right spot. And if you're looking to get expert guidance with proven results, that's exactly what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So this is exactly for you. So I want you to think about your semester and your chemistry class that you're about to take this semester. And just imagine if you could go into your exams with confidence, because you know that you are prepared for success. You can engage in the class lectures because you actually understand what's going on. You can reduce your stress. You can reduce your uncertainty around studying because you know exactly how to spend your time to get the maximum results on your exam. And as a result, you're earning the exact grades that you want. You're earning grades that you're proud of. You're spending your time efficiently also. So then you can also include relaxation and self-care into your routine. So you're not just setting yourself up to get burned out halfway through the semester. Well, this could be you.
I'm so excited. I got 100. I think it was on either Unit 2 or Unit 3, but it was really, really awesome.
So this absolutely happens. This is one of our students. She earned 100 on one of her chemistry exams, got an A in 241B, that's second semester OChem. Not an easy class. It is possible to get an A. 97, 92.5 on chem final exam, got an A on the final.
What'd you get on the final exam? A 98?
97.
97% on the final exam, which
That's amazing.
is amazing.
So 97 on the final exam, which proves you actually know the material, right? 96% on the exam, 193 overall, trying to get that A in chem. It is not completely elusive. We have students who are doing it every semester, and you could do it as well. So let's make an agreement. I'm going to show you in this training the 3 steps that all of those students whose results I just shared with you are going through. The students that are the steps that you need in order to really make sure that you're in control of your chemistry class and you're doing exactly what you want for your chemistry class. And all I ask in return is that you just actually take action on something that I share with you. Either you could share this video. If you're a parent, you could share this video with your student, and maybe they'll listen to some of the things, some of the pieces of advice that I'm going through. If you're the student, then implement the steps that I'm showing you in this training. That'll be something that'll be really helpful for you. And then if you're interested, at the end, I can walk you through how you can get this training customized specifically to you and your scenario and circumstances. So think about your experience, either maybe if you're not a freshman, your last semesters of college, or if this is your first semester of college, if you're a freshman. Think about in high school, if you've ever felt like you studied for hours and you still made that bad grade. You didn't even feel like your studying did anything for you. Maybe you do okay on one exam and then you fail the next exam, so your results aren't consistent. You go to office hours, but you still can't seem to bring up your test averages, even though you're putting in the work and going to see your professor. Maybe whenever you go to class, you're just sitting there daydreaming through class, or you've kind of just given up even trying to go to class because you don't understand what the teacher's talking about. It almost feels like a waste of time to even be there. And overall, that leaves you feeling stressed out, anxious, overwhelmed. That does not have to be your experience in chemistry. You're just missing 3 simple steps. And I like to call it the Chem Excellence Method. So a little bit about me, who I am, how I know this, how I'm qualified to share this with you. I'm Dr. Lori Culberson. I'm the founder of STEM Excellence Tutoring Agency. I have a PhD in chemistry from the University of Arizona, so I'm very, very familiar with the chemistry department at U of A, and I've worked with over 450 students just in U of A chemistry classes. I also have over 20 years of teaching experience, so I know what's going on in these courses that we're talking about, in these U of A chemistry courses. And I've taken all that experience and I've personally designed our Chem Excellence Method, our STEM Excellence Method, after years of proven results with U of A chemistry students. So based on my experience, first I want to talk about what not to do. There are a few things that I've noticed that students have a tendency to do, especially when they first begin college, that's really causing them to have a lot more struggle than they need to. The first one is they're trying to do it alone. I always tell students I can tell the difference between a freshman, a sophomore, somebody just beginning college, and an upperclassman in how they set up their study time. Inevitably, almost always freshmen try to do it by themselves. Upperclassmen, they're studying in groups. It is so much more efficient to go through a course with other students. Think about climbing Mount Everest. Think about comparing whatever class you're taking, chemistry, biochemistry, organic chemistry, general chemistry, whatever your class is. Think about that being like climbing Mount Everest. If you're going to try to climb Mount Everest, you're not going to do it by yourself, right? You're probably going to die if you do it by yourself. You're going to have a team that you're going to go through this experience with. You're going to have a guide that you're going to go through this experience with because it's too hard to do by yourself. Well, you can extrapolate to your classes. If you try to muscle your way through your classes by yourself, then you're just making it harder for yourself. There are no trophies for doing it the hard way. So it's, I promise you, so much easier if you find a team of students who you can work with and you can study with and you can go through it with a support system. Don't try to get through it alone. The next mistake we see students make is relying only on their professor and only on their lectures. Your professors are amazing. I personally know all of the professors in the chem department at U of A. They're all wonderful. However, you are one of several hundred students in this class, in just your chemistry class, in the section that you're in. On top of that, for all of the professors, this is not the only class that they teach. So you are one of several hundred students that this professor has. There is no possible way that they can be personally invested in your individual success because there's just too many of you. Office hours also, they generally get very, very crowded. Go to office hours. It's great. I'm never going to tell a student not to go to office hours because it is an amazing resource for you. However, sometimes it really is hard to get the attention that you need because they get very crowded because, again, there are several hundred students taking this course. And your professors, as wonderful as they are, they can only do so much with the incredible load of students that they have. Another thing that I see is students insist on being in person. And I get it, you know, we've had years of trying to do stuff online. You guys in high school had a couple online years, and those were not effective for really anybody, right? But technology has come a really long way in some of the tools you can use whenever you do online sessions. And if you insist on always being in person, you're kind of ignoring a lot of those technological advances that can give certain students advantages. One of them is being able to have recorded classes. Recorded classes means you do not have to take your class like this. If you're sitting there and taking notes the entire time, you're not actually engaged. You're not actually paying attention. You're not actually learning. All you're doing is transcribing. And there's a huge difference between transcribing and learning. So the most learning that's going to happen is when you're actively engaged. You're answering and asking questions. And if you're so busy trying to write down everything that's being said, there's no way you can engage and get that active learning. So if something's recorded, you can actually engage actively and get that learning, and then you don't even necessarily need notes. You can go back and reference the recording afterwards whenever you need to see something again and refer to it again. On top of that, on things like Zoom, everybody's in the front row, as opposed to whenever you're in your classroom and you can kind of hide in the back. There's no hiding in the back on Zoom. So it's nice. Everybody's in the front row. Your facial expressions are easy to read. If you mouth the answer, we can see you following along and doing the problems with us. Lastly, one of the problems that I see is students only rely on other students as their tutors. Don't get me wrong, things like the think tank at U of A are amazing resources, and it is so fantastic that the U of A offers this. However, the preceptors and the tutors at the think tank, they're students. They're other students, and they don't actually have teaching qualifications. So if you just need a little bit of help here and there, that's great. It's a wonderful resource. If you're really lost, they don't really have in-depth explanations that are, they don't have the expert understanding they need to give you those in-depth explanations. And it's actually not uncommon for them to get stuff wrong. We've had to work with students who come to us and they have some incorrect understandings based on what they've been told by other student tutors. So just because tutors have done well in the class, students have done well in the class, doesn't necessarily mean they have the qualifications to teach other students how to do well in the class. So just keep that in mind whenever you're utilizing some of these other resources in terms of how in depth you're trying to go with these resources. Okay, so now that you know what not to do, let's talk about what to do. I want to dive in and introduce you to what I like to call the Chem Excellence Method. So whenever you want to succeed in any class, could be chemistry, could be anything else, you really need 3 different areas to come together. I like to call it the learning trifecta. You want to have an environment, you want to have habits, and you want to have strategy. Your strategy generally is what your teacher gives you. So that's great. You don't have to worry about developing that necessarily. But without the right habits and the right environment, that strategy will continue to fail. So if your goal is to graduate with a good GPA, you want to go to med school. If you're pre-med, you want to get into med school. If you want to get a high-paying job straight out of college, if you're pre-nursing and you want to get into that highly, highly competitive nursing program, if you want a summer internship, if you want to be an engineer, regardless, you've got big goals, then you cannot afford to leave your experience in your chemistry classes to chance. So make sure you've got some notes. Let's dive into what this Chem Excellence Method looks like. The first part is to prepare. I love the Olympics, disclaimer, and so I have a lot of Olympic analogies. Bear with me. So you got to prepare for your success. So here's Katie Ledecky swimming her mile-long race. Imagine her jumping into this mile-long race without warming up her body, without warming up her mind, and without even having a game plan for how she's going to execute the race, when she's going to sprint, when she's going to kind of taper off. It would be ridiculous, right? There's no way she would win. Most students, that's exactly how they approach their studying. And that's exactly how they approach their course. They just jump right into studying without even thinking about how they're going to study, without even preparing their mindset, without a game plan at all. So if you want to be successful, if you want to win that mile-long race, for example, the same way that the athlete has to warm up and they have to have a plan as they go through it, students are the same. They also must prepare their mindset and create a plan in order to study. You want to think about how you're going to study before you actually begin. And pro tip, highlighting things in your notes doesn't count. That's not studying. That's just making yourself feel like you're getting some studying done. So if you want to Be the gold medalist. I told you, I love the Olympics. All here, all these Olympic medals, right? If you want to be the gold medalist of your chemistry class, you've got to prepare yourself as you're starting to study. You want to define your goals. You want to prepare your mindset when it's time to study so that you can actually focus on getting the work done.
Exactly.
And you want to actually make a plan of how you're going to study. Okay, step 2. Preview is what I like to call it. So most students, whenever you go to your class, to your lecture, they are seeing the material for the first time. Imagine the new material you're being introduced to in your chemistry class, comparing it to like a complex maze or a matrix, and you've never seen it before. You're going to get lost as somebody's going through it, right? What if you could actually have a little bit of a guide? What if you could see the overview of that matrix before you start trying to go through it? You're going to have a lot better chance of being able to follow it along, right? So the same way as you want to go into some sort of matrix with an introductory understanding, you also want to go into your classes with an introductory understanding of what's going on. Give yourself an actual chance to follow along in the lecture. So in order to set yourself up to not get lost, you're already in lecture. Why not actually use it as a time of learning for yourself? See the material before you go to class. Follow along with your instructor and ask questions that come up because you actually know what's going on well enough to be able to ask a question. Pay closer attention, pick up on those extra little details. The last part's to practice, but not just any practice. You want to make sure it's the right kind of practice. You want to practice efficiently. So here's, in Paris, the Olympic golf course. Let's think about a golfer competing at the Olympics. They don't just step on day of competition and play that course for the first time ever. They've gotten there early and they've practiced that course. They know that course before actual competition day. But most students, whenever they go to exam, they either haven't practiced enough or they're practicing the wrong type of question. So whenever they go into the exam, in order to make an A, you have to do something perfectly that they've never even thought about before. So the same way that those golfers have to arrive early and play that exact same course before the actual competition, you need to practice questions that are similar to what you're going to see on your quizzes and on your exams. And the more you practice, the better you're going to be able to perform. So practice efficiently. Success takes that repetition, but you want to make sure it's the right type of repetition. You want to make sure it's actual exam style problems. So that's our method. Prepare yourself. Don't just jump in cold to your studying. Actually think about how you're studying and think about your mindset and get yourself ready to focus whenever it is time to study. Look at the material before you go to class so you actually have a chance of sitting through the lecture and not getting lost along the way. And then practice, but exam style questions that are actually going to help to prepare you for the actual exam. So here's what some of our students have had to say about working with us. Alexandra, Alexandra said last semester I was averaging C's and D's. I just aced my first exam with a 97. Monique said coming here was the best possible thing I could have done for my grade. Lori's an amazing tutor who's determined to make her students succeed. She knows the ins and outs of the University of Arizona chemistry department. Without her, I would be failing. She makes even the most complex concepts easy to understand. Megan, she gives a full overview of concepts in ways that are easy to understand, as well as practice problems that prepare you for exams. I would recommend Lori and STEM Excellence to anyone. So congratulations on making it this far in our training. I want to remind you about that agreement we made. So I asked that if I show you these 3 steps that we take our students through, you would agree to take action. So really you have 2 choices on this action that you're going to take. First, you can take this information and you can try to implement it on your own. And that may be exactly what works for you. You may be extremely successful, but you also could fail. And ask yourself, is something as important as your future worth that risk? The other option is you can really set yourself up to completely ace your chemistry class. Take control of your future. Be proud of your exam scores and set yourself up for that prestigious future. So what I've done is I have opened up some slots in my calendar this week and next week for you to book in a call with me. There's no charge for the call. Basically, we'll go through, we'll look at where you are, and we'll look at what specifically would be a good fit for you to be able to do to make sure you can implement the steps that we just went through and really have that success that you're looking for in your chemistry class. So here's the link. This is not clickable, but I will go and put the link in the comments so you can click on the link and then you can, let me actually show you what it looks like. Click on a button. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Maybe I'll show you what it looks like. Here it is. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You can scroll down and you can click on this, and then this is my calendar right here. So you can find a day and a time that works for you. These are 45-minute slots. Usually it takes about 30 minutes, but I like to give us a little bit of time if we need it. So here's the link. Put the link back up on here. And is also in the comments section. So go ahead and go to this link, schedule a time in my calendar, and I am excited to chat with you soon. I hope that was helpful for you. I'll stick around for a couple minutes in case you all have any questions. And if not, I'll talk to some of you guys soon.